Indeed.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic
Hola.
white guy, and we're going to be talking about the week in culture. I'm sorry I missed last week. It was nothing bad happening. It's just that my wife's schedule was really different, and I had some. I'm still sort of like working out the issues with my PC. It seems that for the purposes of running the show, I don't have any issues, but I am narrowing down the culprit and getting to it. So, but because I missed the show, then that means that today's show is going to be extra packed with extra stuff.
Yeah.
So, before we get into it, though, John, how are you doing?
Oh, awesome as always. It is one of those things. We were going to be talking about this group of women last week, but because they are so insistent on their censorship, it's actually kind of not been a terrible thing because we're not out of things to talk about because the last week has just been piling on with even more information being able to get exposed and all sorts of stuff. So I think it actually will help the conversation to have a little bit more time to breathe before we are able to get into it. So
yeah, I think it's helpful to be, let's just say it's not always best to be first. It's usually best to be like, wait, take a breath, take a look at what's going on, survey the field, and then give some commentary. So I gave it a week. I mean, I had to because I had to take a week off. But in that time, I was able to, sort of look at what was going on, see how things develop, and get into it. But we have a lot to talk about today. So welcome to the show, everybody. Let me greet the folks in the chat there. Oh, and also I got to pop out my X because I am streaming to X as well, but it doesn't show me until it's live. So let me just go ahead and pop out
one of
the
the
chat
next
over
targets
there on
the,
X.
Yeah, X
so
is
that,
one of the next targets on the hit list from these women, actually.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Okay, so let's see. Hello to Zara Sin, welcome. What's up on Rumble? Zaranx, Cats Bits, Tutorials, Gabriel, Master Goa, and Cats Bits, I guess, and Saltpeter Taffy. What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay.
Hey, everybody.
So let's get into it. Let's just jump in. Let's just jump right in.
Right.
We got lots to cover.
That's right.
You probably heard about this collective shout controversy where this group of they call themselves an Australian anti-pornography group, but they're really just like a feminist activist group engaging in censorship writ large, and they've been doing this for a long time. This is not like a new thing at all. No. And of course, they have gone after Steam's payment processors as a means of getting to Steam. So they're using, Visa, MasterCard to get to Steam, probably PayPal and others like that, other payment processors, so that they could protect women. And I thought we would look at their website and also look at their history a little bit.
Indeed.
Okay. So first, let me summarize a little bit. Okay, Collective Shout is an Australian anti-pornography group. They've been campaigning against video games they deem inappropriate, focusing on content involving sexual themes, violence, or abuse. Their efforts have targeted major gaming platforms like Steam and, recently, itch.io, pressuring payment processors to enforce stricter content moderation, leading to the removal of numerous games, like thousands, I think. They've also historically targeted popular titles like Grand Theft Auto 5 and Detroit Become Human, often using misleading claims to push for censorship. Their actions have sparked significant backlash from gamers and developers who argue this represents overreach and threatens creative freedom. So let's go to their website. Let's look at what they're about Collective Shout. Collective Shout is a grassroots bullshit campaigns movement against the objectification of women and the sexualization of girls. Collective Shout is for, they're feminists.
Right.
So this is a feminist organization. And the thing is that I saw a lot of people, and they still do this. They make this claim that feminism is like old hat. Like, oh, they're so 2014. They're not relevant anymore. That's a lie. Like, they've never gone away. They're still extremely powerful. Feminism has always been a government funded, astroturfed movement. Like always, it was promoted by the elites in like the 1800s. Okay, this is not like a thing that is like grassroots. It's not just women bitching. That's just what it looks like on the surface.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
it's a lot more serious than that.
Yeah,
And
this is a gaggle of useful idiots. And oddly enough, the ringleader is also, you know, like another subject that a person of interest that we talk about here in the gaming space is a journalist.
Mhm.
And so like these feminist journalists sure do seem to be going out of their way to try to like for the whole idea of the freedom of the press, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and they're doing everything they can to shut people down and just make it a place for like elitist viewpoints and perspectives, and it's all too telling, and they don't understand that they are just being they're a means to an end, and a lot of this is actually coming from effectively the world's going to end up with an online space that looks like China, and I don't know if that's something that you really want to set out to achieve, but
well,
I digress. I'll let you continue.
no, it's okay. I think you're being really charitable. I think these people are evil. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, they're stupid and work for people who are also evil, but they're evil too because they're going
sure.
along with it. They're true believers. They know what they're doing. This is on purpose. This is by design, and they use the fact that they're women to get to essentially execute their plans because
Right,
people can't like they have a harder time saying no to women, and
right.
so like they'll use that. They exploit the thing that they claim doesn't exist, right?
They are
Feminism,
effectively gaming the system,
yeah,
and a lot of this, unfortunately, we've been seeing this, the year that we've been doing this show,
yeah,
one of our first topics that we've been covering is the whole trust and safety, terms of service policies that are being implemented into games and things like that. Like, all this
mhm,
stuff ultimately is about trying to limit people's abilities to actually just, I don't know, be grown-ups, like
yeah,
it's pretty insane.
yeah. So anyway, let's get into what they are about.
Mhm.
Collective Shout is for anyone concerned about the increasing pornification of culture and the way its messages have become entrenched in mainstream society, presenting distorted and dishonest ideas about women and girls, sexuality, and relationships. Since our launch in 2010, we have achieved many wins. Billboards objectifying women pulled down, sexualized children's clothing withdrawn from sale, sexually violent games banned, Andrew Tate's pimping courses removed from Spotify, and an age verification trial underway to help protect kids from exposure to porn. Last year saw a record 34 wins. This was all possible because thousands of people like you decided to speak out and take action. Um, so
When they
okay,
when
I
they
want to.
say thousands, they do mean literally just like 1,000 out of the billions of people on the planet.
Of
You know,
course,
not hundreds of thousands, not tens of thousands, just
yeah,
thousands.
yeah, for sure. That's why they have to use that word. It's all about language. But
Hmm.
let's look at what their claim sounds like on the surface, and this is how they make conservative people useful idiots as well.
Hmm.
They claim it's to protect women from pornography. Okay. And so, like, you get like the people that are kind of like, staunchly anti pornography online
Hmm.
or like anti gooner or whatever. They buy into this. They support this. They're like, oh, well, that sounds, but you don't understand. These people actually don't give a shit about that
Right,
because they're gooners themselves. They are
right.
like some of the worst. They defended. Do you guys remember that little Netflix show called
Cuties.
Cuties? They
Yeah.
supported that. They praised that film, and that's
Yep.
straight up like Pizzagate shit. And
Right.
they're okay with all that stuff.
Right.
That's
Well,
not what this is about.
yeah, and their defense of it was that the messaging is the important thing. It's like, excuse me, these are actual legitimate, you know, 11-year-old girls that had
Yeah.
to twerk on like dudes and things like that, and so maybe you know maybe that's more of an issue than some CGI rendered character that does not actually exist, and yet because of their perspective and weird kind of connections, they're willing to make a pass for one thing while at the same time condemning the other. And that's the other thing too that I do find interesting about it. I believe it was the movie back in the 1980s, Witness, I think, with Jodie Foster, where she gets raped on the pinball table, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, like, these are stories about the human condition, things like that. When it comes to these games that they're targeting to get their ultimate ends met, do I don't have an interest in purchasing these games or anything like that, but I do have a want and desire to keep artistic expression as open and available to creatives, as because that's the whole thing about a legitimate capitalist kind of mindset, is the market will bear out. If there's an audience for it, no matter how niche it is, it's better to have that than to go and try to dictate what isn't and is allowable. Because once you start getting into matters of taste, it's a very slippery slope until you end up living in a complete and utter censorship society, which is what the process of elimination of everyone's interests ultimately becomes. It just makes the world tasteless and empty, and everything becomes drab shades of beige and gray. And so I think that doesn't make for a more robust human experience, and that you have to take the good with the bad. It's kind of one of those things where it's like there's a certain amount of self-determination and accountability that we should all be able to bear out. And just because I don't necessarily agree with something doesn't mean that I can't condone it, because adults are allowed to kind of have like that. You're allowed to kind of have your own. The only way that you maintain freedom and liberty is by being able to actually be brave in the face of diversity of things that you find a little bit abhorrent, but with their with their protection of cuties, as it were. Those are actual little kids. Maybe what you should be focusing on is maybe stewarding the children and keeping them from drag queen story hours and this and that. When they talk about children are impressionable, so we can't have cigarette ads. Right.
That's not an issue for them. That's kind of what I mean. And it's
right,
not
exactly.
It's not as simple as they're hypocrites, so they don't see that they're being inconsistent. No, they know, they don't care. Like, this is basically just about control. Right. And you have to just call it what it is. I got some special chat action going on. So in the vertical, so I stream to vertical, right? And the reason why is because you have a chance of getting random other people that don't normally watch your content to jump in, and somebody in the vertical, and I'm not gonna make this into a big deal, but I want to acknowledge that they're in the vertical chat on their mobile device. Queenie Evergreen says, "You're old men pedophiles that want to see little girls being sexualized, not only in video games, but in real life." So, I mean, obviously you don't know us and you don't know what you're talking about, but I want to use this to basically say, this is exactly what Collective Shout wants people to think. They want people to think that if you say, look, I don't care about whatever you want to call the dark side of Steam or itch.io. I know it exists. It's just like Tumblr. What Tumblr was. I think Collective Shout got Tumblr taken down as well, or they were responsible for a lot of the content being removed. But Tumblr, in that case, they actually had a problem with, from what I understand, let's say work or images that featured children that was inappropriate. I never went to Tumblr, and it's interesting that Tumblr is dominated by women, but I digress. It's just something to consider. But the thing is that if there could be a conversation about what is appropriate and what is inappropriate, content for people to look at online, and we can have that conversation. But the moment you get the governments involved, and especially governments like Australia, because it's an Australian group of people, they're having an effect on all the countries all over the world. That's a ridiculous thing a ridiculous path to go down. And we don't want these people, even if you disagree with, and look, I have no interest in any of that content either. I just don't think this is the way you, let's say, talk about that or deal with that, because these people will, the goalpost of what is considered inappropriate is going to be constantly moving. I mean, they went after GTA 5. Is GTA 5, child pornography? No, but they
It's a
went
mature
after
adult
it.
rated
I mean,
title.
yeah, they don't. It's not about the content. They use what's in it as the pretense to go after whatever they don't like.
Right. And
So if
if
you
I
accept their pretense, they're going to come for everything else.
right, and if I could just address this person, you're afraid of a word, you're afraid of a label. You don't actually deal with, actual contextual value of things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, saying like trying to come in here and be like, oh, you're old misogynist pedophiles. How many other buzzwords are you going to use? Because you're the kind of person that this group is aiming towards. Smooth brained, easily compliant and
Low
pliable, because you
IQ.
want the appearance of doing good, but you actually don't give two shits. You're probably one of these people who thinks that sanctuary cities are amazing, but you're not going to open your home up to any immigrants or anything like that, because
Right.
you're counterfeit. You don't even know what you think. You don't even understand the complexities of the world. I worked in a porn shop for a number of years. You know, I saw the human condition in its most raw form, and let me tell you something about the way that humanity works. If you don't give people outlets, then you'll actually see far worse progressions of violence, of abuse, of neglect, of all the things that this is supposedly in the vein of trying to prevent. Sometimes some people need a release valve, and if it takes place in the form of a fiction, that's probably for the better of everybody, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that just because I condone the existence of this thing, that this is what I'm into. That is
Yeah.
fucking
Again, you don't have
infantile
to.
and retarded.
No, it is retarded. You don't have to support it, like in terms of consuming it yourself. But it's not about what I'm for. It's about what I'm
Right.
against. And what I'm against is collective shout in general, and what they're trying to do. That's what I'm against. Right. I don't care, because the truth is, and it's funny, what they do, it actually affects people on, let's say it affects all gamers. Like a lot of the queer content, a lot of the LGBTQ stuff,
Mm-hmm.
is under the umbrella, and a lot of that stuff got removed as well. A lot of the stuff that's kinky that people are into, like the kink stuff, that got taken down as well. So, look, that I don't play any of that shit, but I don't want them to set the tone. That's my
Right.
point. They're not the ones that should have that right, and they're the ones that are way overreaching, and they're basically like applying pressure to. Now the credit card companies bent the knee to that,
Yep. And
and
it's even worse when you start involving these payment processors, because
yeah,
ultimately, what do I always talk about? Techno feudal, fascist leaning control schemes and the authoritarianism of money markets that are able to bypass national sovereignty. That's what this does.
yeah, yeah,
You're playing right into the world that Charles Schwab wants, where you'll own
for
nothing,
sure.
be happy, eat some bugs, live in a fucking pod, and you'll have a digital credit score.
Yep. So I got some super chats. Thank you guys for that. And then I'm going to read more of their website. And I want to give you guys a timeline of all the shit that these people have done, because they've been around for a while, for longer than I've been doing Gamergate. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's kind of interesting to look at their timeline. But Master Goa gives us 5. Thank you, Master Goa. And it says, I haven't looked into Collective Shout, but I'm sure their money trail somehow leads to the WEF. Also, today is the perfect day to check out Brutal John 2, which I did watch the trailer for that after the show I did the other day. And yeah, we'll take a look at it during the cake section if we have time. Thank you, Master Goa. Zeranx gives us 5 after that and says, don't mention that you notice Tumblr, Brian. They'll target you when you notice. I mean, I know of Tumblr, but I never went there. And from what I understand, it's dominated by women,
Mm-hmm.
and they write a lot of let's
Thirst
say,
porn.
thirsty, horny fan fiction. I mean, wait until I know I didn't talk about I didn't have it in mind to talk about the Grok AI
Mm-hmm.
companion, like the female one that's been making the rounds they've been showing. But
Yep.
there's a male one in the works, and I promise you, the female one is not going to be nearly as degenerate as the male one is when it
No.
comes out. I can promise you that, and it's going
Yeah.
to be women. They're
Yeah.
like, you're going to see some shit.
Oh yeah.
So
It's just like in strip clubs. They have staunch do not touch rules
yeah,
in strip clubs where women are on the stage. But you
yeah,
go to like a ladies' night kind of situation, they will quite literally blow the dudes that are, you know, doing the dances.
Yeah.
Like, women get into some very depraved shit. You know,
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, for sure. Okay. Cat's Bit says, did the banks really bow to the pressure or just use them as a reason to enforce certain policies? No, I mean, I think it happens. There's a pretty good chance that it works out for the banks. You know, that this is like but I think that the problem with groups like Collective Shout is not that they're being like puppet mastered. I think that they're just ideologically possessed and they're acting on their programming, and it just so happens to work out for the people who want it to work out for them. So I don't think it's like it's
not necessarily the grand
conspiracy.
Really. Right.
No.
This is not some kind of you know, shell corporation kind of situation where they're putting up a false front. This is somebody who just conveniently ideologically is aligned with their perspective and their viewpoint, and so they're able to save resources by letting you know, someone else kind of take the heat and do the thing and get them closer to their ultimate end goal. And so you know, that's kind of a problem in and of itself, because it distracts from the actual, you know, people that are perpetrating a lot of this from the top down. But that does.
It reminds me. Yeah, it reminds me of something I bring up a lot is when he was Alex Jones was banned on YouTube or InfoWars, right? And when it happened, there were a lot of people that were maybe like, you know, would claim to be more moderately right wing or something. And they were like, well, he was really extreme, even though they didn't really watch his content. They would say, oh, well, he was really extreme, so maybe that's okay. It won't happen to me. And then, of course, it starts happening to everybody else. So as soon as you get like, you go to the furthest extreme of something and you say this has to be banned. And if somebody says, okay, we'll ban that thing because it is pretty extreme, then that's gone. And now you have a new extreme thing, which is slightly less extreme than the other thing. And you're like, well, now we need to ban this because this is also extreme. And it just keeps going. So that's why I'm like, no, we have to draw the line immediately. The line must be drawn here.
Right, you know? Right. And that's the thing about marginalizing, you know, things that are abhorrent and that fall under that matter of taste. There will always be something new to go into the margin. And these activist groups, they don't get their win and just say, oh, all right. So it goes. They each progressive, you know, gain just gives them more ammo to try to find something else to limit and censor from adults and their discretion.
Right. And this is why I mentioned that they tried to get GTA 5 banned, because that should be a really big red flag, right? You should see that and say, well, why GTA flag? There's no GTA 5. There's no porn in that. Right. I remember when it was discovered that San Andreas had like the you know, like the hot coffee. Well, it was like a thing that was taken out that they were going to have in there. Like they took it out and that was still controversial. Right. And that's San Andreas. That's like what, 20 years old now?
Jesus Christ.
Don't even answer that. Don't even.
I know. It's like,
that's an old,
you don't want to realize exactly how old we are, but yeah, that came out.
Okay.
That came out in 2001. So.
My point is, if they go after something as tame as GTA 5, and I would say compared to, that's why I brought up San Andreas. If you think, and like Detroit Become Human, I don't even know, like those David Cage games are woke already. But I think that because there are women in the game that could die, and I think the women in the game are all androids too, so they're not even really women. Right. They're just robots. I don't know what their issue with that was. I'll have to come back to that. But my point is that they will claim they're only going after this really extreme stuff, and it's having an effect on itch.io and Steam. And this is like the only way, and this is actually really interesting, it was probably the only way they could get to Steam. Because Steam was, and I think in a lot of ways still is, you know, like the ideal platform for gamers.
Right.
There is, because it was the least censorious. It was the most welcoming for people who are creating content. But even now, that's what made it the target. That's why I think they went after them. Because if they wouldn't even have to go after, say, Microsoft or Sony.
No.
Because they're already doing the work for them. Right. They're both already censoring their games and like, you know, changing things around and making the consumer's life harder.
Right.
And Yeah,
the
go ahead.
ESRB came up with its ratings, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And one of the ratings on there is AO, adult only. But if you want to have a game published on any of the leading consoles, which are, not so much leading when you actually compare to PC these days, you cannot get a game published if it is designated AO. So, they already have effective soft bans in work for those institutions and the way that they conduct their business. So, yeah.
All right, so let's look at more of the website. So I'm not going to read too much of it, but I wanted to show you what because they're very repetitive. They say the same shit.
Right.
So our purpose: we are a grassroots campaigns movement, a collective shout against the objectification of women and the sexualization of girls in media, advertising, and popular culture. Our mission is to bring about cultural change and societal transformation through holding corporations, advertisers, marketers, and media accountable for the objectification of women and sexualization of girls, and encouraging strategic social partnerships that uphold the value of women and girls. Our vision is we want to see a world free of sexploitation, where the objectification of women and sexualization of girls is unthinkable. Why haven't they gone after OnlyFans?
Right.
Why haven't they gone after Patreon? Why don't they go after all the OnlyFans thoughts? Oh, I know, because those are women that will defend what they're doing.
Right.
Like they'll say, "Oh, I'm choosing to do this," right?
This kind of thinking is that because there's a few drunk drivers out there who get into terrible accidents, we have to get rid of cars entirely. Right.
Yeah.
Right. There are laws in the books for things that go extreme, and it's just it's anytime that they go and they make anti-discrimination, hate crime laws and things like that, they're just putting a hat on a hat. If people go and violate the actual code conduct of the law, there's already laws in place for that. Going and just putting rioters on top of it to go and say, oh, but this is even worse, and this is even more abhorrent. It's just a way to ultimately take away people's ability to actually have some level of discretion in their life, because you need somebody to do the thinking for you. This whole idea that we're going to somehow find civility through constraints and things like that. That is not how any of this works. It's just kind of like the whole idea of, if you are somebody who knows your capacity for violence, but you don't act upon it, that is the concept of actually being a gentleman, because you're not just unruly and unhinged. These women, this whole group that they have are full of a whole bunch of hypocrisy and just, very myopic viewpoints and perspectives that do not actually trust in people's abilities to actually just be able to decide for themselves. And so they feel as though it's their moral obligation to do that work for you.
Yep. So who funds Collective Shout? Where do they get their money? How do they maintain themselves? Well, they would tell you that they are Australian, so that's true. They are an Australian non-profit campaigning against the objectification of women and sexualization of girls, primarily funded, according to them, through grassroots donations and partnerships with donors and sponsors. They are a registered charity, relying heavily on individual contributions, including monthly giving programs to support its campaigns, lobbying efforts, and educational outreach.
NGOs.
But they also partner with organizations like the National Foundation for Australian Women, which processes their tax-deductible donations, and have collaborated with platforms like Optus's Good Company for fundraising. Additionally, they encourage bequests and regular donations to fund activism, corporate accountability, and school programs. So the national organization, or the National Foundation for Australian Women, is basically like the National Organization for Women of the United States. That is likely a government organization, so not exactly grassroots. And when they have specific, they keep them apparently they keep their identities confidential, but they do have like specific large donors that give them large amounts of money. So who knows who those people are? I I'm guessing their name ends in Bergstein or Witz, but whatever. And but I mean, like, obviously these people are astroturfed, and they're not necessarily. They could be getting USAID money, but remember, it is an Australian thing, so they're probably just getting Australian government money as well as United Nations money. If, like, you know, the UN Women gives a lot of money to these kinds of causes, and yeah, so that's also possible.
Yeah. And I would say that the WF definitely does factor into it, considering that their acronym stands for World Economic Forum, and that is, you know, bringing the world to heel, you know, based on, you know, business constraints. And these are not good things, you know.
No. So of course they are celebrating the fact that they have gotten what they're calling rape and incest games removed. They got this rape sim game called No Mercy pulled from I think we covered it on the show. Again, you know, it's a visual novel or something, I think. Not my cup of tea, but to say that that's not like a kind of fantasy or kink that people have, especially women, by the way, that's just ridiculous. Like, what is almost every romance novel ever, if not some kind of rape fantasy? What is 50 Shades of Grey? But they're not going to ban those things, right? Because it's not about that. It's not about the thing. It's always about the revolution. The thing is never about the thing. It's always about the revolution. It's always about control. It's always about demoralization. It's always about, like, driving people to the brink so that you can have your revolution. It's about tearing everything down. And they never have a plan outside of that. Never. Like, it's like, well, we just burn it all down, and then what? Well, a phoenix will rise from the ashes. That's not an answer.
Yeah,
that's just nihilism.
Right. It's kind of like the weird hypocrisy of a lot of gaming journalists this week coming out against Wu Chang, the new game, because it's, you know, got
Wu Chang Fallen Feathers or whatever.
Yeah. Because the main character is an attractive woman, but at the same time, they will sit here and talk about how they can't stop gooning over Baldur's Gate 3 fan fiction.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. So,
well, again,
your
Shout's
fine.
not trying to ban Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
I mean, like, you'd have to look at what they support, and you can see that, like, nothing that they don't have a leg to stand on in terms of principles. They don't have any. So let's look at a timeline of everything these people have been involved with, because maybe this is the first time you've ever heard of Collective Shout by that name, but you don't know what they've done, or like what things in your, let's say, in the area, how they've affected, like, your hobby. Okay. So in 2009, they were founded. They've been around since 2009 in Australia. In 2014, they campaigned against Grand Theft Auto 5, misrepresenting its open world design to claim it promotes violence against women, leading to its removal from Australian retailers like Target and Kmart. That's another thing that is worth pointing out. Only the United States has freedom of speech. We are the only country that has the First Amendment. Any other country that claims it, they don't. And and they will act against it. Like, you don't have free speech in England. You guys who are English know that, right? But Keir Starmer will sit there and say, we have a legacy of free speech. It's bullshit. Because as soon as you, like, make a bad tweet they don't like, there's going to be cops at your door.
Right. And since you are bringing up the UK, something has gone into effect recently over there, is this online protection for children. And they are using that now as a way to censor violence. And you know, so they will use an extreme example, to basically create the gap. And through that gap comes all the other forms of things that can now be censored along with it.
Yeah, it's all about setting the precedent. Like, they set precedent with that claim, then all other claims, no matter how ridiculous they are, become easier to make.
Right.
Because you've already made the first claim and people have accepted it. And most of the time, especially if you make claims about, like, you know, child pornography or something, people are just, they don't even want to look into it because they don't want to see it. So they're like, well, okay, I'll just take you at your word, right? And I understand that. I don't want to know. I mean, like, but I know it happens, right?
Right.
So, but we should, like, I just think you have to really consider what are their real intentions, because it's not to protect women and girls. It's not to protect children. That's just how they get their foot in the door, right? So, all right. So in 2018, they petitioned to ban Detroit Become Human, alleging it features child abuse and violence against women, despite the game's narrative condemning such acts. And also, again, they're all androids. There are no women or children being, from what I remember, because I have that game and I played it, I streamed it a while ago. And I was thinking about streaming it again. I was thinking about doing like a David Cage, like a series of his games so that we can laugh at them. Because they're stupid but fun. I mean, they're funny unintentionally. But yeah, so this is the precedent they're doing. And again, they are going after people who otherwise are, progressive themselves. So that doesn't mean it's not about progressivism though, because all they're doing is they're essentially saying, look, I'm punching left. Can't you see? You should punch left too. And then some people go, well, the enemy of my enemy, and that's a mistake because it's a trap. They're going to use it to come after whatever you care about too. Maybe you don't give a shit about Detroit Become Human. I don't think they're great. It's a great game, but I don't think it should be censored. I think it should be allowed to exist, Okay. July 11th, 2025. So they laid low for a little while. They published an open letter to payment processor CEOs of PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, etc., co-signed by groups like the National Center on Sexual Exploitation and Exodus Cry, urging them to stop facilitating payments for games with themes of rape, incest, or child abuse on Steam. National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Sounds like a government organization to me. Let's take a look. I'm going to just check real quick. NCOSE. It is an activist group, supposedly a why we exist to build a world where people can live and love without sexual abuse and exploitation. I don't think these people do that. I don't think you can get like an organization to stop this kind of stuff.
Right. That is not the place of bureaucracy.
Yeah. That's
abuse happens, neglect happens, and just making more laws against it is not actually going to stop.
But you see, they wouldn't support, like, I don't know, like putting fathers in their rightful place in their homes to because that would be the best defense against abuse and neglect would be a present father. But they don't support that. They're probably pro-choice, pro single mom, pro welfare state, and they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to be like, anti-male, anti-family, anti-natalist, while simultaneously claiming to care about children. I mean, they just can't. I don't think so. Okay. July 15th, Steam begins removing adult games with approximately 456 titles delisted, though some counts are disputed due to double counting or unrelated removals. Valve confirms this was in response to pressure from the payment processors. So I don't blame Valve. I think they were put in a really tough spot and they had to do something. I think they should disavow this behavior, but ultimately I do blame Collective Shout and the payment processors for going along with it, but mostly Collective Shout.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, this ultimately comes down to Steam is an online-based store. So, when I was living in Washington and I had my medical access, for cannabis, it was cash-only sales because the same kind of thing was in effect. The payment processors would not allow for, purchase to be made for controversial medicines and things like that. And so, and I brought this up last week on a couple shows when we were talking about this issue then. It's kind of impossible to have cash-only sales in an online retail space. So, yeah, they were kind of put in a bind where their hands are kind of tied by the restrictions of the payment processors. And that's ultimately why, what would Jesus do to a money changer? He'd flip over their table and whip them out into the street. Like, that's the kind of level of discretion that we should have in this, is that you can't be allowing groups to just make your decisions for you. You are an adult. You're, of sound mind and reason in theory. But responsibility is a hard thing. It's far easier to be reactionary. And so these reactionaries such as this, that just go and lead by their emotions and trying to use colorful language and getting you to think about things in the worst terms possible are
Yep.
preventing people from actually being able to engage in legitimate human experience, rightly or wrongly, as it may play out. But that's on an individual account, not for, some group of well-to-dos to do those decisions for you, because ultimately it's not going to change people that are already, have those proclivities and, that abhorrent behavior. It's just going to make it more difficult for anyone to talk about these things in a responsible, meaningful way, And will there be some weird kink shit that's just kind of like ultimately just insane and depraved? Yes. And if you want a good, view of that, just go to Reddit. You know, go
Go to
as you
Blue
said,
Sky.
go to Blue Sky, as you mentioned earlier. Go to Tumblr, like plenty of these
I don't think
spaces
Tumblr
that
exists anymore, does it? It does, but nobody goes there.
right,
Once they
right,
banned the porn, it died, basically.
right. But yeah, it's like like a lot of these people that sit here and talk about how compassionate they are and how meaningful they are to the betterment of everyone. But they are even more depraved because it's like and I've mentioned this before. When I was married to my ex-wife, she used to constantly say, "I'm a good girl." It's like, who are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to convince? You know, because if you were, it would be seen through the conduct of your actions, not just some blanket statement that think of the idea of me. Don't actually hold me to account based on the fullness, the holistic aspect of who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
and people you know um do have failings. That is part of the whole thing. Like, there is not one amongst us who is ultimately perfect, and if you think that you can somehow find the way to do that through cavalgating people, you're effectively you're a Satanist, whether you believe it or not. That is the whole concept of free agency, and what good faith is built upon is that you will earn your eternal reward based on your conduct, your actions, your choices through life, not because you were constrained by some arbiter who's only saying go down this very narrow path and everything's all well and good. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah. Yeah. And they did get they did get Steam to add another rule to their list, their short list of rules for
Mhm.
games you can develop, like what you need to pass in order to develop on their platform. And the one they added, though, is probably the worst that I've seen. It forbids, according to the last Steam rules snapshot, forbids, quote, content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors and related card networks and banks or internet network providers. So whatever the Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal don't like, basically.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Now, Collective Shout will say, well, it's just for the women and girls. But now you've just opened up the Pandora's box. Now
Right.
it can be for anything. So, I mean, we'll see if that changes. But I think this is how do you do that, right? Valve doesn't say anything. They just noted that particular care should be taken with certain kinds of adult-only content. There's no elaboration at this time, and the vague wording of that is really, really troubling.
Mhm.
And it's I don't know what's going to happen with it. So it's just whatever the credit card companies don't like, basically. Hopefully, maybe Gabe doesn't see this. Maybe he'll react to it or say something. I looked to see if he made any statements. He hasn't said anything, but I think something has to happen here. Like, just on principle, again. Don't care about the Gooner content. Doesn't matter to me. Same thing with itch.io, by the way. They have the same problem. In fact, itch.io, if I remember correctly, a lot of the most indie, most cringe, most woke, most like LGB Gooner stuff is on there, and a lot of
Mhm.
that's getting taken down too. So like, the Troon furries on itch.io are going to be mad. And I think, again, in principle, like I think that shit's messed up, but I think it should be allowed to exist as long as there's not, you know, like you said, as long as it's not exploiting actual people, which it's a game. I don't know how it could. So, but it's a problem is the precedent that you said. That's what ultimately my issue is. So, anyway, itch.io confirmed that it has de-indexed NSFW games due to Collective Shout's campaign targeting payment processors following a similar pattern as Steam. The group's social media accounts reportedly go private amid harassment claims, which, of course, yeah, it pissed people off. So, Master Goa gives us $5. Thank you, Master Goa, and says, always question nonprofit groups. Yes. Philanthropy is the guise evil elites use to pat themselves on the back for pushing the unpopular, unprofitable. Yes, non-profitable. Exactly. For sure, because they can't make money with their terrible ideas, so they call it a nonprofit. That like so that, you know, they can get money other ways. But it's ultimately it doesn't matter. So let's see. I think that's mainly it. I mean, it's terrible, but it's sort of the main story. So
yeah, and if you are interested in finding out more about this, you know, like just before the show began, because I try to be as up to speed on these issues as I possibly can. If you want a deeper dive into some of the exploits of the various women that are in this group, I watched Madam Savvy put out a video. It's about half an hour long, and it is very rich in context and detail in terms of the hypocrisy of the women that are involved in this group specifically. So, you know, if you are looking to find out more about the issues yourself, that is definitely somebody that I could point to that has done very, very extensive research, as she tends to. So if you are looking to find out more, that would definitely be a place that I would point you in the direction of.
All right. Well, yeah. For with that said, let us know what you guys think about all of this mess in the comments, and we'll move on to the next story. So, all right. So, we got to talk about Hulk Hogan.
Indeed.
And yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, like, obviously, of course, we're going to be talking about his passing, but there are plenty of people who came out of the woodworks this week to condemn him for.
Yeah, well, that's part of it too.
Yeah. Right.
I'm going to talk about that too, because
so
Hogan has an interesting role to play in the whole Gamergate controversy. So
indeed. But yeah, I'll reserve my point for later when it's more contextual.
Hulk Hogan, born Terry Jean Bollea, passed away on July 24, 2025 at the age of 71 due to cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater, Florida. The news was confirmed by multiple sources, including his family, via an Instagram post, which stated he died surrounded by his loved ones and requested privacy for the family. The Clearwater Police Department reported that first responders attended a cardiac arrest call at 9:51 a.m., and Hogan was pronounced dead at Morton Plant Hospital at 11:17 a.m. No foul play or suspicious activity was noted, though a standard death investigation is ongoing, because whenever that happens, there's an investigation. Hogan was a transformative figure in professional wrestling, propelling the WWE, well, formerly the WWF when I was growing up, to global prominence in the 1980s with Hulkamania, and later impacting the industry as the leader of the New World Order in WCW. He was a 6-time WWE champion, headlined 8 WrestleManias, and was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame 2005 and 2020 for NWO. Beyond wrestling, Hogan appeared in films like Rocky III and reality TV shows like Hogan Knows Best. His later years were marred by controversies, including a 2015 racism scandal involving leaked audio with racial slurs, which led to his temporary removal from the WWE Hall of Fame. He was reinstated in 2018, but faced mixed fan reactions, including being booed at a January 2025 WWE event. So on Blue Sky, this is where a lot of the controversy came. So, like, okay, let me go back real quick to the 2018 thing. No, 2015. So Gawker, I forget the guy who ran Gawker. He was like this gay British guy that ran Gawker. and it's on the tip of my tongue, but it doesn't matter. And he was the one essentially that was sort of like responsible for releasing it. It was like a leaked sex tape, and on the sex tape, Hulk Hogan used a racial slur, and they used this to try and destroy his life, basically.
Right. One word out of decades of human experience.
Yeah, like of all the stuff that he had done, they took that and they used it to destroy him.
And then the context of what he was saying, he was effectively saying, "I don't want my daughter dating some rapper," you know.
Yeah, sure.
You know, like, and he said, and if that makes me a racist, then that, you know, so be it. You know, it's I mean, it was kind of a microcosm of everything that we've been living through in the past decade since. Because again, that was one of those things where, you know, much like the last thing we were just talking about, let's take some extreme example, something that, you know, like a tempest in a teacup. You know, he was in a consensual, you know, moment of you know, a sexual encounter, and he went and he was saying something in what he thought was the most private, you know, instances of a person's life. And I'm pretty sure that if you put any of us under the microscope, we could all be found to have said something that.
I said that. I've said the word nigger multiple times.
Oh yeah,
I said it just now. I don't give a shit.
Right, and
like,
that's the thing. Right. Oh no, and believe me, I've had this. I've said this before too. When I just say the word, you know, it's like you're gonna get in an uproar because of the word nigger, devoid of the context around it. You know, then you are, you know, an infantile jackass. Because again, that's one of those things where it's like if you go and you try to say, well, that word is off limits by any means, you know, for any purpose or anything like that. It's like, well, what if you're actually just talking about, you know, what it's actually about, and you're not directing that at anyone? You know, are we now, you and I, going to be condemned because we've now just said the word out of context to anyone or anything in general in a negative connotation? You know, and I'm sure there will be people who'll be like, they said it twice. Both of them did. You know, I'm sure the person who was in here earlier is just, you know, if they are still lurking about.
They probably left.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying, if they were still lurking about, then, you know, they were like, oh, see, they're even worse now. They're racist too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, none of that matters. So, yeah. So Gawker tried to destroy his life, and he sued the shit out of him and won. And essentially bankrupted the company. Like so it was something funny happened where somebody actually like on the Wikipedia page for Gawker, somebody changed the Wikipedia page at the time to show the owner instead of Nick Denton, he's the guy I'm trying to think of, Nick Denton. Instead of Nick Denton, they changed his name to Hulk Hogan and said Hulk Hogan is the owner of Gawker. It was funny. My boy Kukurio, who's like I haven't talked to him in a while, but he made a lot of the Gamergate art. He has like a famous Gamergate strip of like this blimp that's crashing, and it says Gawker on it, and Hulk Hogan standing on top of it, you know, with his fists up in the air.
It was kind of interesting, given all the years of fame and fortune that he had leading up to that event. He made far more money in that lawsuit against Gawker than he ever did. You know, drawing, you know, all the massive crowds for decades in the wrestling space. You know, so yeah, and it was kind of one of those things, like, you know, these people set out to destroy Hogan and ultimately ended up destroying their own capacity to actually run a business.
Yeah.
Fuck around and find out, right?
Which is fine because it needed to go. Like,
indeed,
Gawker is the worst. They are the worst. But anyway, so Blue Sky reacted very poorly. They were sick and they were cheering for his death. In fact, they were when there were two other deaths that, well, there's multiple. A lot of people died, but like this, in terms of celebrities, it comes in like threes at least, right? But we lost Ozzy Osbourne, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. We lost Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosby Show. We lost
Doug Mangione,
Doug Mangione, right?
Horn player. There was also a woman,
Julian LaFay, the guy who basically created the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, and I can't remember her name at the moment, but a singer from the 1950s. Toasties was telling me about it the other day. She
Oh,
also, so yeah, like it's unfortunately age does happen, and in the last 5 years, with certain things that have happened due to medical procedures and whatnot, and changing the definitions of things. Unfortunately,
mm-hmm.
we're only seeing really, the beginning of a wide scale die off in the world at large.
Yeah. And the people on Blue Sky, though, were, before he died, there were people on Blue Sky saying that they were hoping he would be the third death because, there's like I said, there's this meme that when celebrities start dying, it's like in threes. And people were on there saying, I hope Hogan is next. And when he did die, they were all celebrating his death. And they were like saying, oh, can we just like add more names to the list? These people want you dead because you disagree with them.
Right.
Like that's
Right.
the left.
And
This
yet
is why,
they will call you fascists. They will call
yes,
you racist. They will call you all
well,
these things,
they're communists. But
right.
this is the thing. Like, this is why I get so frustrated when I talk about this stuff about the left and people are trying to like do this thing where they're trying to like balance it out. Like, well, maybe the left has some points. It's like, no, they don't. Like, there are people having a serious conversation. Like, say there's a line, okay? And you have a line, and this is the line of all conversations happening. And there are people having a serious conversation here. And the left is over here calling for
Right.
death and screaming and like, drinking bleach or whatever it is they do when they get frustrated. They're jerking off and choking themselves the same. These people over here, they're not worth having a conversation with because they're not living in reality. They think they're women when they're men. They think they're men when they're women. They think they can just like, just change language and mean it and think it means something. They think they're their own gods. They think they're the main character in their own story. They're completely delusional and they want other people to die. I don't want to talk to these people. They're not worth it. I want to talk to these people. I don't care if there's people in this range that I disagree with, that we may have
People
like
that you can
fundamentally
actually
different
have a
values,
conversation
but I
with.
can talk to them.
Right.
These people I can't talk to. Blue Sky is over here. Okay.
Right.
This is Keith Olbermann. Okay. This is like all of the elites in Hollywood that are completely disconnected from reality. They're over here.
Stephen
Okay. I don't want to
Colbert.
talk to them. They're not worth it. I want to talk to these. And
Right.
so that's what that is.
Right. And since we are mentioning Gawker and elitist feminist journalists, Alyssa has said the quiet part out loud.
She did?
Yesterday she was saying that she wants re-education camps for people to be able to use the internet.
Oh, of course.
Right. So yeah, saying basically that you should have your rights, your freedoms, your liberties stripped away unless you understand media literacy and all the other stupid fucking bullshit she's on about. And it's like, again, this comes down to matters of personal taste and discretion, and then some moral arbiter, who's going to use crazy ass, laws that they're trying to get in place, like this concept of stochastic terrorism. The thing that that AOC brought into light. These things are not actually legitimate and real. Just because if there's a wide group of people that are calling you an abhorrent jackass, it's not necessarily the people that need to be censored. It might just be that everybody's come to the same conclusion because you're an abhorrent jackass. Imagine that,
Yep. So yeah, so here's some of the stuff that they've been saying. Okay. Let's see, there was performative. I'm just trying to find some specific examples of posts here. Here are some notable reaction to Hulk Hogan's death from Blue Sky Sickos. Here, I'll share this. Hierophant X says, Hierophant X, Shelly B, woke, living saint of, this is like fucking long. Jeez. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Please let Hulk Hogan be the third in the rule of threes. Is Hulk Hogan dead yet? I know it's going to happen soon. I just know it. This is before he died. This guy was calling for this. Rest in shit, Hulk Hogan. Kate Bush's husband, real pleasant person there. The racist Hulk Hogan is dead. Fuck the Hulk Hogan then. Fuck the Hulk Hogan now. Fuck the Hulk Hogan forever. They're using a picture of Iron Sheik, but that's not Iron Sheik's words, at least not seriously. Iron Sheik was kind of a weird guy, though. So yeah, I mean, like I said, pretty fucked up.
They were giving a tribute to him last night, and they mentioned like all of his luminaries that were already also dead, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, man,
it really is.
Roddy Piper, Iron
Macho
Sheik
Man
died, Macho Man, Randy Savage,
Ultimate Warrior right there.
Yeah,
Dusty Rhodes, as we see, like
Dusty Rhodes, yeah. When I was growing up and I watched wrestling, because I did, I will admit it, my time was the more WWF period, where Hulk Hogan was a face, not a heel. I didn't like that whole NWO thing. I didn't care for that. I kind of like walked away from it. But back then, Randy Savage was my favorite heel character. Like, he was just so much fun because he was a heel for when I was watching him. Before the madness, before the cowboy hat,
indeed.
When he would come out with the fringes and stuff, on his, and they play that it's called Pomp and Circumstance.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, it was sad to see that Hulk Hogan was gone. Although, again, he did get a lot of positive nods. Ric Flair had like nice things to say.
Yep.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had a heartfult Instagram tribute, recalling Hogan as a childhood hero. JD Vance said that he was a childhood hero of his. Trump paid tribute as well. Let me see if I can.
Chelsea Green, while you're looking for that, Chelsea Green, she is a lady wrestler these days.
Chelsea Green.
Yeah, she's currently in the she's not like the biggest luminary, but she is a wrestler, and she has now had to because she got a whole bunch of harassment because she went and said something good about him. And of course, blue sky attacks, and gets to the point where she's just like, "Fuck this! I don't need this bullshit just because I actually want to, have a personal anecdotal story about someone that I actually knew." But you people who are full of all your, empty pride and zealous virtue signaling, who can't separate, that one incident from someone's life from the totality of who they are. You're the ones who if you want this kind of strict judgment, be careful what you wish for. And that's the thing. All these coexist people, if they're put under the microscope, and they're held to the standards that they try to dictate upon other people, it falls all apart. And then they're like, "How did this happen?" It's like, because you're a fucking retard and you don't actually think beyond 5 minutes forward or behind your current state of, reaction.
Okay, so I did find some stuff. So here's Trump said, "We lost a great friend today, the Hulkster. Hulk Hogan was MAGA all the way, strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart. He gave an absolutely electric speech at the Republican National Convention. That was one of the highlights of the entire week. He entertained fans from all over the world, and the cultural impact he had was massive. To his wife, Sky, and family, we give our warmest, best wishes and love. Hulk Hogan will be greatly missed." And of course, Trump was really big into wrestling too. If you guys remember, he did
He's in the WWE Hall of Fame himself.
He did. And Hulk Hogan, for most of his life, he was never political. He never made any claims about whatever his politics was. Because he was focused on, he didn't want to divide the audience. He didn't want to people to be against him for that or whatever. He just did his job, played his character. And when he was a face, he was telling kids what was the thing he was always telling?
Say your prayers, eat your vitamins,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was constantly, he was John Cena before John Cena.
For sure, way before. Yeah, well, John Cena sold out to the Chinese, so
true enough. True, very, very, very true. But what I'm saying is John Cena, not the man. John Cena, the character. It's a little bit more difficult with Cena.
I haven't seen
his wrestling name is his actual name, whereas Terry Bollea, is a man, and Hulk Hogan's the character. But yeah, Hulk Hogan as a face. extolled the virtues of, making good decisions and trying to actually
basically,
build yourself
he was
up.
a positive influence. Like, he wasn't even a great wrestler. He was just really charismatic.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. Like, he wasn't like the kind of guy that you went to see the skills that they had. Like guys like Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels that could like jump around and fly everywhere, or Rey Mysterio. He wasn't that guy. But he had such charisma that people will just, like, it was just, he was a magnet for that. And yeah, he was good friends with Sylvester Stallone too, and Mr. T. I mean,
Yep.
he's basically an '80s icon. That's just what it is. So if you're too young to recognize it, I understand. But JD Vance also said Hulk Hogan was a great American icon, one of the first people I ever truly admired as a kid. The last time I saw him, we promised we'd get beers together. Next time we saw each other, the next time we'll have to be on the other side, my friend. Rest in peace. So Stallone said via Instagram, I had the pleasure of meeting this brilliant personality and showman when he was 26 years old. He was absolutely wonderful, and his amazing skill made Rocky 3 incredibly special. My heart breaks. The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball. If you guys, there's another thing about Hogan real quick. He was 26. That guy's always been balding. That's how high T he is. He was always going bald. Ric Flair said, I am absolutely shocked to hear about the passing of my close friend. Hulk has been by my side since we started in the wrestling business, an incredible athlete, talent, friend, and father. Our friendship has meant the world to me. Woo! I just had to throw that in. He didn't say that, but I just said that.
I mean, it is Ric Flair. And I just want to mention Ric Flair. He has constantly been beating the 3 count with the Grim Reaper.
For sure.
His most recent thing, just earlier this year, he was diagnosed with a form of cancer, and he's now cancer free after.
Wow.
So
the Nature Boy.
He is the Nature Boy, and it is interesting as many times and many struggles as he's gone through and everything like that he is able to persist. Yeah. Unfortunately, someday will come where he too will not be able to, escape. What mortality comes for us all, and that's the thing too about these people who are celebrating the death of someone. It's like you're going to get old yourself, and and if you want to be judged by your weakest moment, especially, and it's not, and again, that whole moment was an invention. It's a private conversation, like in the midst of a sex act, like the most private of privacy that you should be able to have, which was the whole reason why the Gawker lawsuit went forward, is because it's like, dude, that's an invasion of the ultimate form of privacy.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, it is nice that Rick is doing better himself, and those are some very kind words from him. But yeah.
Sure. Well, let us know what you guys think about this Hulk Hogan story in the comments. We have a couple more, let's say, eulogies to cover really quick. I don't want to go into all of them just because of time, but maybe if we have time. So Ozzy Osbourne, I covered it on the last show I did over at Badger Live Streams, but because Ozzy Osbourne was featured in some media, he's been in some movies like Little Nicky, and of course, this game, Brutal Legend. Probably the best thing about Brutal Legend was the cameos from various like metal icons like Ozzy Osbourne. But yeah, he was fighting Parkinson's, and I didn't know that because I guess he was a somewhat private guy. And I don't know if you want to say anything about Ozzy.
I mean, he too is another guy who started young. Black Sabbath came about when he was only 21, and it was 30 years ago when Ozfest began, and so like the prolific way that he has been able to reinvent himself and stay relevant through the ever-changing landscape of music and everything like that. Like it is due to his absolute talent, skill, and ability. and even though I'm certain, some people be like, oh, he was best in Black Sabbath back in the day. You listen to like the music that he put out over the course of just the last 30 years as Ozzy Osbourne, and the band that accompanied him, but under his solo recording title. Mama, I'm Coming Home, No More Tears is just, like so many great things. Ozzy is as iconic as it gets, and we are seeing the passing of actual people that will be remembered as legends, only be replaced by all these, just empty suits and false personas, and just people that do not have that talent, skill, or ability, but they are platformed into positions because they're compliant and pliable and will ultimately carry water for the profiteers and things like that. And it's it's unfortunate. When David Bowie passed away, that one really fucking sucked. That hit
I
hard.
covered that one, and Lemmy too.
Right, Lemmy
From
Lemmy as well. Motorhead.
yeah,
Um,
Motorhead.
Tom Petty, another,
Yep, Tom Petty.
undeniable. Just there's no one who could ever be Tom. Like there's no one you could try to emulate him, you could try to copy, you could try to mimic it, but nobody will ever be Tom Petty. And same thing for Ozzy. And even if you don't like Ozzy, if there's someone out there who would actually make that bold claim, it's like I'm sure that a lot of the bands that you listen to.
I think that there's a pretty good chance that there's a song that you like that you didn't know he did.
Right.
Was
Or that he
involved with in
influenced
some way.
the person who made the music. So yeah, it's always one of those things where it's like,
I mean, Ozzy, the Black Sabbath essentially, the Razor Fist made this claim, and I think he's right. They essentially created heavy metal. Like they made heavy metal what it is.
Right.
Like even if they were just the pioneers of that. So everything that comes after that has, to some degree, they have to thank them, or like revere them. Black Sabbath was unique for its time. It may seem, trite compared to Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and Megadeth and all these other bands that followed, Metallica, but Black Sabbath they were the guys that opened the door for that, in my opinion.
Indeed. Yeah, no, totally on point with that.
Yeah. So I got a Xeranx gave us 10. Thank you, Xeranx. And he says, is it bad for me to notice that Joan Rivers and Hulk Hogan both appear to stand in opposition to members of a particular party itself and pass on during a medical procedure? Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but because you have to look at Bob Hope. Maybe he died under suspicious circumstances too. And then Norwegian Black Templar says, Brutal Legend was a fun game. I believe Lemmy Kilmister and Rob Halford also made appearances. Yes, they did. Lemmy, they were like the game, because I was actually thinking about streaming it because I do own it. And for a while, I don't know if you guys know, but the game was on sale.
It was offered for free.
And it was free for 666 minutes.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't see your post until the day after all of it was over. And
yeah,
I was like, oh,
sadly, I mean, I already own it, so I missed it. By the time I learned about it,
right,
I had missed it as well.
But I mean, you're talking about a 4 hour, or actually, 6 hours. So it'd be what, 7 hours and 6 minutes, 666
something
minutes,
like that.
Yeah, 11 hours, I guess. 600. Yeah, I don't know.
And a certain number of minutes.
Yeah. So it's 600 would be 10 hours. 60 would be another. So 11 hours and 6 minutes.
Yep. Well, it's actually right here. Let's see. Yeah, 666 minutes at the time of this visibility. But yeah, it's past. Time for that is past. But it is. Brutal Legend. I have mixed feelings about that game. Like it was something that could have been great. And it just turned out to be pretty okay. I feel like I should play it again, though. What I didn't like was it went from like an action adventure game with like, open world elements. There was like a hot rod you could drive. There was lots of upgrades. And then it was like a real-time strategy or like tower defense thing. And I didn't like that as much. And it had like multiplayer or something too. I think that it tried to do too much. and it like just kept it to. I liked it. If it was more like let's say Elden Ring, but everything is metal, I would play the shit out of that.
Right, or Full Throttle back in the day,
Yeah. Well, full throttle is like a story,
right,
story game, right?
that
But
was an
yeah,
action.
pretty good. Yeah.
Point and click. Yep.
All right. So anyway, that was Ozzy Osbourne. Let me know what you guys think about that one in the comments. If you're a Black Sabbath fan or when Ozzy went solo, let me know what your favorite song of yours, or maybe one that is underrated. All right. Next we have the passing of Julian Lefay, a little bit less, let's say, dramatic, but nevertheless very important to gamers. So Julian Lefay, known as the father of Elder Scrolls, passed away on July 22nd, 2025 at the age of 59 after a long battle with terminal cancer. Lefay was a pivotal figure at Bethesda Softworks, joining in 1987 and serving as chief engineer. He directed and programmed seminal titles like The Elder Scrolls Arena, Daggerfall, and Battlespire, laying the foundation for open world RPGs. His influence is so significant that the in-game deity Julianos was named after him. After leaving Bethesda in 1998, he co-founded Onslaught Games in 2019 to develop The Wayward Realms, a spiritual successor to Daggerfall. On July 17, 2025, it's Once Lost, not Onslaught. I'm sorry, Once Lost announced Lefay stepped back from development to spend his final days with family. His death was confirmed days later, prompting tributes from Bethesda, Todd Howard, and fans worldwide who celebrated his visionary impact on gaming. Once Lost Games vowed to continue the Wayward Realms per Lefay's vision. So, I don't know what do you guys think about that? War, but metal would also work. That's kind of how it felt.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Elder Scrolls, but I did play Oblivion back in the day, and I played a little bit of Morrowind as well. But yeah, you cannot discount. Is what we were just talking about with Ozzy kind of being foundational to these things that other people now kind of take for granted. There were people behind that. It's like.
I mean, he effectively created the sandbox RPG genre.
Right. Yeah. No, it is a loss that there are people that right now that are making games that wouldn't be making games probably if it weren't for his his time and effort and creativity back when it was much more difficult to do.
Yep. So let's see what you guys are talking about there.
Yes, it has been a rough
Skyrim
week
was great fun, but it did water down a lot of the RPG elements of the earlier games. Was this guy involved with Skyrim? I don't think he was. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't believe at that point in time. I think they're just mentioning it because the lineage. Yeah.
Oblivion is one of my most formative experiences. Top 10 games of all time. Saltpeter Taffy. Master Goa says Revolution X is the only music game worth a damn. Is that the one with Aerosmith, the shooter made by Midway? It was like a rail shooter, right? I mean, I never played it, but it was the loudest game in the arcades. Whenever I go to the arcades, Revolution X was the loudest. Music is a weapon. It was the loudest game in the arcades. But I didn't play that because I didn't have a lot of money, so I wanted my quarters to go a long way. So I'd play the fighting games because I could stay on the machine for a while.
Right.
Those rail shooters, except for Time Crisis, I was very bad at them. I got a really bad experience with this one game. You guys might remember it was by Konami. It was in the arcades. It was called Operation Wolf. And the first level was totally doable. The second level, you would get murdered. Dude. It was like it was intended to take your money away.
Operation Wolf, man. I remember
Operation Wolf, yes.
1980s. I'm in a little nowhere town. And I mean small by 1980s standards. And yeah, we had a locally owned diner, and I put so many quarters into that game. After school, or staying the weekend at my grandma's house. Oh, dude, Operation Wolf, force feedback in the control. You got an M16 and or actually it looked like an Uzi, for the control joystick and on rail shoot. Oh god, yeah, Operation Wolf. That is some nostalgia bait right there. That is definitely you know that is a slice of 1980s Americana right there. Yeah, such a great game.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Master Goa says Operation Wolf was a classic. Yeah, taking your money away. But I did try to beat it, and then I think I got PTSD from it, and they said I'm not playing any more rail shooters until they came out with Time Crisis. And I was like, oh, I can take cover in this game. I'm gonna. Play it. I played that one. I even bought the home version of Time Crisis, and Time Crisis 2 as well. Those games are weird but great. I love them. Okay, so I want to talk about Pedro Pascal. Oof. And because everyone's talking about Pedro Pascal, and it's weird, like what people don't seem to get about what's going on with that. So they're doing like the promotional stuff, the marketing tour, whatever, for the Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm not going to talk about the movie because I'm not watching the movie.
Right.
But I do want to talk about the conversation around what all of the various like shoots and commentary and stuff about what's going on with them. So there is a so Pedro Pascal has been making appearances with Vanessa Kirby, his co-star, and there's a lot of like hand holding, and I can find some clips if you guys want. Let me see if I can find some clips of him with Vanessa Kirby like doing weird shit. Yeah. Or at least people think it's weird. So let's see, Pedro.
It's like some kind of crazy leftist woman with an emotional support animal, like a little.
People are claiming that here's one. So people are claiming that well, I'll just show this clip.
Now, you notice like when they're standing, they're roughly the same height, but like when seated, like this.
She's got a longer torso than him,
I guess it's either that. I mean, it must be, or like he's sitting slouched, or But I think that Pedro Pascal is like he is the visage of the emasculated male of what they want modern masculinity to be, and it's interesting seeing him kind of in this beta cuck kind of role next to a woman who is far more assertive and dominant in these situations, which I guess is kind of Fantastic Four's shtick as well. Like he's not necessarily the leader in the role of Reed Richards. I had a few people yesterday tell me, "Oh, it's good. You guys should go watch it." And I'm like, never gonna happen. Not even if you paid me. I made good. I when I draw a line, I'm like, that's it. I'm out. I'm fucking out. Like I'm done with Disney. Well, they're bullshit.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, this isn't about, like I said, I'm not talking about the movie or anything like that. I'm gonna use it to talk about something else.
Right.
So Norwegian Black Templar. I'm not. Don't worry about the sound. It's you don't have to hear it. It's not relevant. But I don't know if I can, because I'd have to like go into my audio settings to like fix things. My point is, what people are reacting to this like there's something really inappropriate happening, which yes, you could argue, but it is Hollywood. Vanessa Kirby is married, not to Pedro Pascal,
right,
to somebody else, and she's pregnant on the in this, at least in this clip here, right? Not with Pedro Pascal's baby,
right?
But because they're promoting the Fantastic Four, they're doing a whole act on the carpet. Like they're playing up this, they're trying to get people talking about it by acting like they're involved in a way that they're not.
Right.
And people are using this, like this goes back to this clip here, because the claim is, and I don't know how this rumor got started, I assume it was put out by the media like they planted the seed of this. Oh, he has social anxiety, so he needs to like, basically have his hand held or something like that. And it just so happens that it has to be by like a really attractive woman.
Right.
Like not like some dude like Willem Dafoe isn't gonna hold his ass so that he can feel calm. It's got to be Vanessa Kirby. He's not doing this with Bella Ramsey because she's not attractive, but even though he is her co-star, and they're claiming that, or at least some people are reading into this, and they're thinking that there's some weird like a PSA Sitch, who I tend to disagree with a lot on things, shared this, and he says people wonder why young men are getting angry and turning against society. The Pedro Pascal Vanessa Kirby coverage is the perfect example. All these weird articles and comments gushing over these two seeming to have an open affair. No one cares about Vanessa Kirby cheating on her husband, or at best making him publicly look like a cuck. If Pascal was married and he was cheating on a woman, the vibe about this would be completely different. Most people would be outraged. Kirby's husband better get a paternity test. There's about a 99% chance she is cheating on him. This guy this is low IQ commentary.
Yeah.
They are doing this for the cameras because they're promoting a movie. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it also happens to be the case that Vanessa Kirby and her husband have like some kind of open marriage agreement. It's a very common
Hollywood.
thing. It's Hollywood, baby, in the words of a certain Snow White actress. And I think that like to get bent out of shape over this, which is obviously fake, as a matter of fact, I'm telling you right now, I think Pedro Pascal is gay, and I think that they're trying to push him as a new man, and I say that NUMAN. He's a new man, or he is representative of new masculinity, and I'm going to get into that. That's the point of what I'm saying here. But first, I did get another super chat. Zeranx gave us 5 and says, I don't know what the problem is, guys. I see nothing, absolutely nothing for which Pascal could be made to suffer for later. He's a good boy. Oh, yeah. Not to say that he wouldn't get Me Too'd at some point in the future if he like steps out of line. But I don't think that he's interested in her sexually.
No. There was I was on I was hanging out with Stupinzo one night, and he had shown a video clip of some guy in a movie theater that Pedro Pascal and his gentleman friend, I guess, for lack of a better term, were walking past, and Pedro is referring to himself as being a bitch, and very like effeminate, and it was all too telling because Pedro's not there. Like, this is not in front of a camera for marketing purposes or anything like that. This was just kind of a slice of life kind of moment. And yeah, he certainly kind of seems to be more interested in the company of men than women. So the idea of him getting Me Too'd seems a little bit remote to me.
Well, I mean, he could get Me Too by a man, but yes,
I suppose.
So okay, so I wanted to do what I wanted to do was show you guys. Give it a little bit of a comment on this idea of the new man, or the Marxist social man, because that's what's going on here. Hollywood and the media industrial complex, whatever you want to call it, the cathedral, they have been trying to deconstruct masculinity for decades. And they're trying it for multiple ways. And the reason for this is very simple. Men who are like in their comfort zone of being men, who are just fine being men, and they're not being lambasted or attacked for what they are the most dangerous thing to these people. Okay? A man, this is why they don't want fathers in the home. This is why they want to like essentially abuse and traumatize boys as early as possible. It's why they push for circumcision, even though it's not a religious practice. It's not. Right. I mean, unless you're Jewish or Muslim. But they push for that, or they normalize that. It's why they what?
Oprah needs her foreskin cream, man.
Yeah, she needs her face cream.
That's right.
It's why they are constantly like, when you look at how men are portrayed in our media, they're either idiots, they're man children, or they're evil. They're rapists. They're horn dogs, whatever it is. And that's all negative, if unless of course they're trying to like celebrate a man, in which case they become passive and emotional. You know, there was a recent Pixar film, I think it was called it was with the elementals. So it
Uh-huh.
was like a water guy and like a fire woman or something. And the water guy was like, I didn't watch it because I was done with Pixar a long time ago. But
Right.
the water guy was male and he was constantly crying and he was really emotional. This is what they want men to be because they want men to be controllable. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how you do that. So they think that men are like women. This is their fatal flaw, though. See, women are actually influenced by popular culture because they're interested in, you know, for the survival of them and their children, they tend to look at the world and say, okay, how do I get along, you know, go along to get along. And so
Mm.
they tend to like go along with whatever they think the, you know, the wave is, because it's the safest place to be as a woman. You can't really be like an upstart. You can't really be like, you know, causing problems. Instead, they become the police of the status quo because they see the status quo as normal and they enforce the normal. They're always holding on to the window, and they'll do it with violence, but they'll do it with proxy violence. Like you'll see, like with the immigration protests going on in California, or you know, just like leading up to the Trump election, how many women were on TikTok saying, "Is somebody going to kill this man?
Right.
Assassinate him? Stop him?" Right? They weren't going to do it themselves, obviously, but what women are really good at is asking men to do stuff for them, and
Right.
so that's what they were doing. So this propaganda that we call our entertainment media is really effective on women. It's how they, because women are looking at it and they're saying, well, what is the way to be? Oh, I see. It's this. These are the things you have to believe, which is why, you know, they promote things like being single, being a girl boss, not having kids, aborting your kids, cheating on your husband. Like it's everywhere, right? Reality TV, which isn't real,
Mm-hmm.
and all of this, like all of these shows about, you know, degeneracy and cheating and, you know, whatever. That's all pushed on women, and they just think, well, this must be what it is, so I'm just going to do it because it seems normal and everybody celebrates that. But that doesn't work on men as well. So what they have to do is they have to try to reshape masculinity and then make it look sexy so that women, because they are influenced by this stuff, will go, oh, that's what I want in a man. I
Right.
want a man like Pedro Pascal because he's the new man. And what is that? Well, I'm going to tell you. New masculinity is a term that has emerged in online discourse, particularly within certain internet subcultures like feminism, to describe a modern, often satirical or critical reimagining of traditional masculinity. It's not a formally defined concept in academic or Marxist frameworks, but rather a loosely used label in social media and cultural commentary, especially on platforms like X. So, what is the core idea? New masculinity refers to a version of masculinity that either embraces non traditional traits, so it's like anti masculine, it embraces emotional vulnerability and rejection of stoicism,
Mm-hmm.
which is an important trait that everyone should have, by the way, not just men, or exaggerates traditional ones in a performative, ironic way. It's often tied to online communities like manosphere groups, gamers, or meme culture, where it can be both a critique of toxic masculinity and a pushback against progressive gender ideologies. The term is sometimes used to mock what some see as traditional masculinity, as influenced by modern feminism, while others use it to advocate for a healthier, more inclusive masculinity that rejects rigid stereotypes. It also reflects a satirical take on hypermasculine ideals, blending humor with cultural critique. So, while it's not and directly linked to the Marxist concept of the social man, it it can view it as a response to capitalism's commodification of gender roles or the alienation of men in a post-industrial society where traditional labor-based masculinity is less relevant, at least according to Marxists. However, new masculinity, as discussed online, is more a product of cultural debates than a Marxist construct. But they are trying to make a connection because the Marxists, the feminists, it's all the
Mm-hmm.
same shit. Their whole thing is, as long as people are able to sustain themselves, then they don't need the state.
Right.
And so they have to like create a new kind of man that, like Pedro Pascal himself has said, strongly desires to be on the right side of history. So this is what he has said, okay? And he's described himself as an immigrant, which is, so what? Did you come here legally or not?
Right.
So he is the face of this thing. And again, I don't even know that any of the shit that he says is actually stuff he actually believes. I don't know if he's just saying it because Hollywood has made him the guy, and they're like, okay, now that we've put you in every movie, I have Pascal fatigue, by the way. Now that we've put you in every movie, you have to basically share our talking point. You have to be our avatar. You have to be the avatar of new men. And so that's what he's doing. So
Yeah.
I just thought I would share that. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but
Yeah, no, he is very much an empty vessel that is having an ideology poured into him. Basically, for all that you're saying is it's pretext for programming, and this was existing before he became their compliant, pliable, carrier of water. But and after he's gone, they'll have someone else who's even more effeminized, and
yeah.
I mean, he's not the only one currently. Timothy Chalamet didn't really
Timothy Chalamet is another one. What's that singer guy too? The English guy. He wears dresses.
Jonas, one of the Jonas brothers.
Nick Jonas? No, I was thinking about a different guy. Harry Styles.
Oh, Harry Styles. Yeah,
Harry Styles. These are all. You're absolutely right. These are all the new men, and the actual masculine guys. Like, I'm not talking about guys that are just muscular, because those guys are cucked too. I'm sorry, like The Rock. No, I'm talking about guys like Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood. Like, they were just like dudes that didn't put up with shit, and they had. And that doesn't mean that they were like illiberal or whatever. They probably were pretty liberal, but the point is they were just men, though. Stallone. They didn't want their masculinity to be challenged, or at least, like, let's say, manipulated or distorted,
undermined,
destroyed, undermined, exactly. And all these guys are willing to sign that contract. So I got the impression that Pascal favored men when I saw him in Game of Thrones. Oh, he was on that show? I never watched it. I mean, I watched the first season of Game of Thrones, and I was done. I was like, nah, this isn't for me. Too nihilistic.
I think I saw about 10 minutes, and I was just like, yeah, no, it's a little too much, little bit too heavy on the, dicks are everywhere.
Right.
This is evidently fantasy porn for women. I'll stick to Lord of the Rings. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm with you. So, okay, the last thing I wanted to share, because this is like where I think how the propaganda is working. So this is Rachel, some random chick on X, and she's sharing pictures of Pedro Pascal and David Cornsweet from the Superman movie. And they're basically doing, like I said, they're doing the press tour for their respective films, Fantastic Four and Superman. And they're with their co-stars or their romantic love interests in the movie, and they're being really like touchy-feely and shit like that to make it look like there's something there, when again, these are actors, they're professional liars. That's what they do for a living, and people buy into it. And so she's saying, still thinking about how lucky we got that David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan are Clark and Lois, and Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby are Reed and Sue, and we get content like this, literally the embodiment of their characters. They are lying to you to sell tickets.
It's marketing.
Real. Yes, this is marketing. So don't fall for it. None of this is real. How is it there are people who still think that anyone at Hollywood tells the truth? Like, what? The CG monsters in their movies are more honest than these people.
Indeed.
God, it's don't fall for this, guys. Don't fall for this. If Pedro Pascal hadn't criticized J.K. Rowling last month, then nobody would be batting an eyelid at the way he and Vanessa Kirby act with each other. This is what happens when the right have their shitty behavior called out. The nonstop attacks are just boring now. It's not an attack to be. Look at what is this? What is he wearing?
Right,
dude. This guy is not straight. Is that Joaquin Phoenix? I don't think he's straight either, though. But anyway, Yeah, I mean, like, anyway. So,
Wearing
uh,
a tank
just
top and a scarf.
yeah.
Those do not go together. What the hell?
Frank Blaskowitz says, "Can we have straight leading men again?" Well, we'll have to create a new studio for that. I mean, like, I think the last leading man that's still straight is probably Tom Cruise. And I think he's gonna retire soon, unfortunately. Well, he might act until he dies. Like, as I don't know, he seems like that kind of guy. But yeah, I don't know that there's much else going on. Tank top, that was a wife beater. Yeah, well, that's what a tank top is.
Yeah.
I don't think he beats his wife.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like the name wife beater. Because that's kind of like, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of bullshit. Okay, so did I cover everything? I'm gonna look and see because I feel like there might be something else that I did not uh get to that I intended to get to before we get to the cake. So I just want to make sure. No, I think I think that's it. Okay. So let's do some cake. So I was being asked by Master Goa earlier in the stream. Wanted me to look at, why am I forgetting the name of the game now? But I'm gonna go dig it up. I'm gonna have to
Yeah. Just
that
drop
was
in
a
the comments again, and
yeah, I know,
have
I'm sure
to-
it'll pop it in. It was like Angry John or something like that, but I can't remember the name of it.
Me?
No, not you.
I know. I'm problematic, John.
I may have put it in my Steam wish list.
Right?
It's basically a boomer shooter.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you seen Grandpa High on Retro? The very
Brutal John 2. Thank you, Brutal John 2.
yeah
Have I
Grandpa
seen what?
Grandpa High on Retro. It's a game that looks like Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It is made specifically to emulate a PS2 era game, and it's kind of like Bad Grandpa, that movie that came out. Jesus Christ, the world's getting so like it's so long ago now that even came out. But that's a game that looks pretty interesting, and it looks like it's now available for Steam, or it will be very soon.
Yeah. I'll look it up. Let me see if you guys can hear the audio. No, it's not. Okay, hold on a second. I may have to like
Do a little jiggering.
unshare it and then reshare it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
seems like
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to
okay, also
mention.
share tab audio. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to mention because we make it a point here to do these shows to try to highlight independent games as much as possible, because it's that whole thing about we could sit here and we can piss and moan and complain about things, but there has to be something actionable. And in that same vein, the real life fake wizard has created a thing called fakeportal.com for also highlighting more indie games and things like that. And they have a newsletter that will start coming out at the 1st of August. So and it is fakeportal.com. You can go there and check it out, so that if you want to keep up to date with new independent games that are coming out, because he too much like us is kind of he doesn't support certain things, and when he's done supporting it, he's done, and he is actually in the same mindset we are, that the only way that we get out of this situation is not by waiting for these corporations to go and change their ways, ultimately just to find a way to exploit us further down the road again, but to actually start supporting new voices and things that are actually creative and done by people with artistic integrity and passion behind it. So definitely check out fakeportal.com. He's I was talking to him earlier in the week about helping him do some stuff with it, maybe highlighting certain games, things like that. So hopefully we can even bring those into these discussions when we get to the end of the shows.
Yeah, let me see here. I'm going to put it in right now. Fakeportal.com. Okay. Connecting you to new worlds, play more games. Here it is right here. Barrett. Play more indie games. The portal's about to open. So it's still getting set up, but we do have something here coming soon. All right, so we'll follow up when it goes live, and if Real Fake Wizard wants to come on,
Oh yeah, no,
my
I'll
show, talk to me.
I
Yeah.
will mention to him about it.
Yeah, so I still do interviews if I can.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Premiere.
Okay, so you can hear it now. I just had to do it over. All right, let me raise this up a little bit. Let's take a look at Brutal John 2.
World premiere.
There is a dog, so I'm already interested.
Lucilian, the evil mutant, has captured the world using crypto mining technology. He is the main mining boss of the universe.
Okay.
Those who control crypto mining control the world.
Should we be worried about crypto mining?
And only two real men. This
Wait, one of them's a dog,
madness.
though. A Shiba, no less.
Uh-huh.
Of shit.
Mining took the world. This is absolutely insane!
This is more Duke Nukem than Duke Nukem's going to be in the future.
Oh well, that's out of line.
They are ready.
Can I give that to JoJo?
To destroy mining tech. Brutal John 2. Play the demo now.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
If you play Brutal John, you like men. If you don't play Brutal John, you like men.
So there is no Brutal John 1. They
Right.
called it Brutal John 2 because the development of Brutal John, I guess, was so long that it took them a long time. But there is an early access. It's on Steam, the demo right now. Let me just see here. I think I added it, but now I feel like I need to look it up because I forgot because I'm old. Brutal Legend comes right up when I put John Brutal in, by the way, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so it's like $10. So it is out. And let me put it in my wish list. So yeah, you can buy the game. I don't see a demo though. So maybe there is just like the game itself. But it's like a boomer shooter, ultraviolet, old school FPS set in a world overrun by crypto mining technologies where it's up to you to destroy them and reclaim control. Prepare for an adrenaline ride that pays homage to the best shooters of the 90s. I mean, mostly it pays homage to Duke Nukem, but I feel like there's some Quake in there too.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Brutal John 2. What's another game that you brought up?
It's Grandpa High on Retro.
Okay, Grandpa High on Red. There it goes, Grandpa High on Retro. Oh, I do remember this. I remember Asmongold.
What's wrong, Doctor?
Check it out.
I'm sorry, guys, but your girlfriend can't get pregnant. Her body has an army of bacteria that kills all sperm before reaching the egg.
Oh, that's great news.
Oh, come on, Grandpa, this is serious.
Yes, please help us, Grandpa.
Doctor, is there something we can do to help?
Well, there's one thing. You need to smoke this weed so you can shrink and travel to the cervix.
This is some hillbilly type of shit.
What?
Here are the guns, guys.
What for?
You need it for protection. Remember, there's bacteria inside her vagina.
Fuck yeah.
This is gonna get banned by Collective Shout.
Quite possibly.
Get the bong and go into the.
with your wife, Grandpa. Who is going to chill but kill if he has to, Grandpa? Who is the guy that will put Triple S to sleep?
Hey, grandson, wake up. We are inside your girlfriend's vagina.
Whoa, this is awesome.
Either you have a big dick or she has been wicked. Now, let's get your girlfriend pregnant.
This ain't right. You ain't gotta tell me. I can feel it.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'd say it's
okay. I'm looking this one up.
it's a trip of a game, but yeah, it's made to emulate old school PS2 games, and just it's out there, but it's
Oh yeah,
independent.
$8.
You know?
Grandpa High on Retro. Putting this in my wish list. This should be. Is it 2-player co-op? Because that'd be great. No, it's single player. It's single player. Because like so you had to like have the grandpa and the son going in together. I mean, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. But okay, so what anybody else? I got like a couple more I can look at. I know that the Wu Chang, whatever it is, Wudong something, came out.
Wu Chang, something feathers.
Yeah, Falling Feathers.
Falling Feathers, yeah.
Fallen Feathers, Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers. But I guess it has like a bunch of performance issues. It didn't have good reviews, unfortunately, or at least not impressions on Steam.
Yeah, they did put out a patch within 24 hours of that happening, though.
Did it address that?
It addressed a lot of that stuff. There are some people that are still having some issues, but you know, I mean, technical things abound. But you know, they are doing everything they can to right that ship as quickly as possible, because they don't want it to be undermined by a technical issue. Because otherwise, it does look to be a fairly interesting, I guess, Souls-like kind of game. Very, very brutal, and you know, the combat, you have to be pretty on point. And so I think that, you know, like the technical issues are one thing, but then I also think that there's people that are experiencing some skill issue and as well, and are taking it out on their that term "get good" comes to mind. But you know.
Masagoa says, I don't think those guns are going to get her pregnant, but more power to their quest. But Saltpeter Taffy says, I am detecting System Shock 2 influence somehow. This is wishlisted AF. Are these talking about Brutal John 2?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm assuming that one feels more like a System Shock game than Grandpa.
Right. Grandpa reminds me of it reminds me of GTA. I guess.
There was something I saw
City.
a trailer for. Let me see if it's in my history. There was something I saw a trailer for that got my attention. It was like essentially the spiritual sequel to Dino Crisis, or like a new Dino Crisis. What the hell is it called? Code Violet. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. I never played Dino Crisis, and I think that it's one of those games that Capcom like neglected. So this is like it's Code Violet. They I don't know.
Well, these are just dreams. Like before. Dreams can do crazy things.
I know, but they feel like more than that. They feel like memories, like they happened.
Get some rest. I'll check on you in the morning.
Some Mozart.
You're more important than you understand.
There is something
different about her.
Hey, a woman that looks like a woman.
A woman that looks like a woman. Who'd have thunk it? Those little ones. good thing.
Looks pretty awesome.
She's our priority. Without her, there is no future.
We'll see. I mean, I'm willing to wait and see like what it's like. Comes out in November. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's
unfortunately it's only available on PS5 though.
Only on PS5? What? Oh well. I guess I'm not playing it then. Yeah. Well,
it'll make its way to Steam soon enough, as all things do.
Huh?
I said it'll make its way to Steam soon enough.
Yeah, it will. I mean, you spend all this time and money on, on leasing a AAA game to just one console, and not even like a popular one, because I don't think that this generation of consoles is doing very well on the market. So, we'll see. Only in a video game would you survive being bitten by a giant T-Rex. Yeah. Well, just a T-Rex. I think they're all pretty big. But anyway, so those are the trailers that I have right now, and we are at right about the time we've got to quit. So we're gonna wrap it up here. What do you guys think about the games we just showed off? Are you interested in? I'm interested in the Grandpa game, to be honest. I think that'd be really fun to stream, as well as Brutal John too. So thank you guys for that. I'm still gonna be doing some White Boy Summer. So be on the lookout for more Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance on Monday, and then I might, maybe in the week later, I'll play some Brutal Legend or something else. So
nice.
All right, John, where are you going to be? Go ahead.
Well, in my personal time, I'm playing Death Stranding again. The first one on very hard mode. Now that I've got it for Steam. But tonight I will actually be over on Daramuth's channel for his Rumble Squared show, where he gets various creators together to talk about the state of Rumble and kind of things that are working, things that need some work, and just a general kind of conversation about how it's progressing as a platform. Then later on this evening, after Saturday Night Hypnosis is over, I will be on Will the Fans' channel doing a watch along for Red Dwarf season 2. We're up to episodes 3 and 4 this evening. Should be what we'll be watching. And then tomorrow, we will be doing a review on his channel for what I'm effectively calling WTF TARDIS, Time and Red Dwarf in Space. That starts at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. And of course, I'm there throughout the week on that channel, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at that time. Although he is a dad again for the second time. So, 9 a.m. with an asterisk, I guess. Sometimes he has to get some sleep in somewhere. And when that happens, we just move the show back a little bit. Otherwise, of course, you can also find me with Toasty. Primarily here on Rumble, but she is also trying to get her viewing hours back up on YouTube because memberships tend to happen a little bit more on that platform for whatever reason. So we are doing that. Of course, her and I do the show 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Otherwise, if you're interested in getting into content creation yourself, if you look for @problematic_John on X, there's a link to my Discord there and all my other social kind of stuff. And if you get in contact with me and ask me to get you in the listing and whatnot, I'm generally pretty good about doing that. Otherwise, thanks again to everybody who joined us, especially, here on the Rumble side. We do appreciate people watching wherever, but these days I am firmly in the camp of Rumble is where the future conversations will need to be had, unless YouTube kind of changes its sensorial kind of mindset. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. Always a great conversation with you, Brian. But with that said, safe travels ahead. Have a wonderful weekend going forward. Of course, be awesome as always.
All right, and thank you, John, for that, and thank you guys especially for watching and joining me in this conversation. Like, You know, sometimes I get a little bit black-pilled because I don't have a lot of people tuning in to watch. But whenever the Sundays come around, you guys seem to be the most active, and I appreciate that. It keeps me going. So thank you so much for that. And if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed in the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Long live video.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.